Who wants to walk with Brad? Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your Smackdown review. So, you know, if you guys would like more guitar intros in the future, I saw people enjoyed the one for the Raw review. Let me know down in the comments. Let me readjust my camera. There we go. Anyway, guys, SmackDown tonight. Lots of changes and things that happened at the very last minute, just like last year. Like, I don't know if they were trying to, like, emulate what happened last year or what the case was, but it was like the same show, I mean, that they had last year. The SmackDown before Survivor Series, like the same exact thing that they did. So, you know, you guys obviously probably know what already happened, you know, especially people who are active in the YWC probably already know if you don't watch the show, but maybe you don't. So we started off with AJ coming out for a promo, which prompted Paul Heyman to come out of the audience. You know, first of all, I don't know how he snuck in the building, a guy that size. You know, Paul Heyman's not he's not exactly nimble. So I don't understand him coming out of the crowd. Like, you know, how is it that the minute, like, a fan jumps the barricade, you know, like, security's all over him, but Paul Heyman, you know, this guy who's as big as a beached whale, he fucking comes out of the crowd, no, like, kayfabe security even comes to stop him or anything, but he repeats the same promo from Raw. And it's like, I kind of feel like Heyman, when he does these types of voices, he thinks he's being really effective because he repeats them so many times. But, you know, when he goes, no one. I mean, it's like, give it a rest, Paul. You've been doing this same act for how many years now? Doing the over-dramatic shtick ever since Brock beat The Undertaker. And it's been the same exact story every single night since then. It's time to get a new repertoire. Or, like, I don't get it. Like, around SummerSlam, they hit on an act of genius. How about putting Brock on his own for a time? He did pretty well for himself in 2003 when he didn't have Heyman with him. He was doing pretty good. All of a sudden, you know, they decided to just, you know, go back to the way how it was originally. They wanted to have that nostalgia, but now the nostalgia has faded. You know, people, I don't know, they always say that Heyman is cutting great promos, but it's like, do you guys not understand that we've been hearing the same shit for the past 4 years? So, AJ mentions Daniel, well, Heyman brought up Daniel Bryan for whatever reason. He says that you'll always be just as good as Daniel Bryan. I don't know, like, why they would bring up Daniel Bryan, but it was kind of like they were desperate for finding a reason to get him out there. So for some reason, Bryan says he doesn't want AJ to mention his name. You know, and then they end up fighting. AJ says his name on purpose, and I was just like, this is how they lead into having the match? Don't say my name again. He says his name, and they just end up fighting. I mean, like, that, you know, just getting annoyed over somebody saying your name, like, oh my god, like, you know, first of all, after that episode of Raw, which took a lot out of me, you would think they might reassess, especially after Bobby Lashley bending over for the crowd. They had to take a look, and I mean, they did, because they made a lot of changes, but it's like, all they did was change the matches around and stuff. But, you know, it's like they might have want to reassess the quality of the show, you know, like getting annoyed over somebody saying your name. This has got to be the lamest excuse I've ever seen to have a match. Don't say my name. AJ says his name and they end up brawling. It's a pull apart. And the match is made for tonight. It's Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles for the title. Then we have Jeff Hardy defeating Cien Almas. I mean, Selena Vega is back from her concussion. You know, a long list of injuries. But we'll be getting to that in a moment in this review. So bear with me. Cien Almas, I mean, they brought this guy up from the main roster, and it's like, I don't know what it is that they're trying to break this guy in, or they just have no idea what to do with him, but they don't have him win. I mean, they've done a pretty good job, better than most, better than what Sanity say, of having this guy consistently on the shows. But, like, there's no promos, there's no nothing, he's not involved in the feud. It's like they just bring him out for a match to do a job. I mean, he's doing some pretty decent matches, like, you know, the one he had here. It's, you know, decent match, I guess, with Jeff Hardy, but they're not really going anywhere with this guy. I mean, what happened also to his, you know, he was like a high roller kind of character, almost an Alberto Del Rio of sorts, like the second coming of Del Rio. And then they kind of just pulled the carpet right out from under him, like, almost immediately. The character's not even there. Vega's still with him, but he's not really going any place. He's another character that's remained stagnant for quite some time. And, I mean, what do you expect? Because even the champion on the show, AJ Styles, has remained stagnant. You know, when you've got a champion that's been there for, like, what was it, 371 days now, and he's had one of the most boring title runs I could ever remember, then you know you're gonna have problems as you proceed down the ladder. You know, if you can't even do right by your main eventer, you're certainly not going to be doing right by all the mid-carders. So, you know, that goes without saying. Then we've got Naka Murphy cutting a promo. This was a very odd type of promo too. First, he's not on screen. Dasha Fuentes has to go get him. He's listening to something on his phone, and what he's doing is he's watching the promo from Seth Rollins, saying that he's not concerned about. Remember the line I talked about that Seth Rollins has used 1,000 times? Well, I'm not worried about Sunday. I'm worried about tonight. You know, always like. You know, and also something that I didn't mention in my Raw review about that line. He's kind of basically, you know, kind of downplaying the pay-per-view. Like, he's not worried about Naka Murphy. So, basically what he's saying there is, fuck that match. No one even cares about it anyway. There's been no build. It's like he's telling the truth. I mean, so he buried the pay-per-view, you know, for a another meaningless episode of Raw. You know, oh my god, like, did anybody know that Survivor Series was this Sunday when they turned on Raw? Because, I mean, honestly, what I said in my Raw review, I totally was being truthful. I wasn't trying to be funny. I wasn't just trying to, you know, play it up for the review. Oh, like, all this pay-per-view, where'd it come from? Like, really, like, where did it come from? I mean, honestly, scheduling it not even 2 weeks after the Crown Jewel event, I mean, you know, like, damn, like, they don't give people a break. Like, they said they were going to cut down the number of pay-per-views, and they have. There's not going to be a pay-per-view every 2 weeks, thank the Lord, but it seems like still these pay-per-views are just coming out of nowhere. So, you know, he says that he got his feelings hurt by Seth Rollins, that he's not thinking about him, so he's going to break his face. It was a little bit funny, but my God, it's like, and that's it. So there's your build. So now SmackDown is done. You're not going to see any more interaction between now. There was no interaction between him and Nakamurphy. It's just because we're doing Raw versus SmackDown. It has to be the champions versus the champions, so therefore we're going to have the match. No build necessary. It's just like, this is just, you know, basically they announced the match before the storyline even happened. And there's your story. Seth Rollins is not worried about it. Nakamurphy's feelings are hurt. There's your match. Great story, guys. You know, you did an excellent job there. You know, the storytelling is downright captivating. I mean, this is a fantastic story. It's like, man, this is like Austin versus McMahon. I mean, there's so many layers to these characters, to the story's progression. I mean, you know, just it's heart pounding. It's just like, I don't know what twists and turns and swerves are gonna happen next in this storyline, because it's just so downright captivating. We had Rey Mysterio defeating The Miz. So The Miz now is he says now there he's the sole captain. So like right away, I don't know what happened here. They got ahead of themselves. They already announced that The Miz is just going to be on his own at Survivor Series on the team, I guess. And if Ray doesn't beat him, he's not going to be on the Survivor Series team. Well, Ray beats him. Okay, so, you know, they beat the team captain right before the event. And then Randy Orton comes out to attack Rey Mysterio for some reason after the match. He ends up RKOing The Miz. Not really sure why that happened. But, you know, like, you're going to beat your team captain right before Survivor Series? Okay. What do we got next? Becky Lynch is out there and she's got to choose a replacement, because guess what, guys? Becky Lynch is injured too. My, this has been one hell of a year when it comes to injuries. So first, we start off the year. I mean, and I believe, like, when the year started, Tamina already had her injury that she was recovering from. So you put Tamina down. Then you could also go ahead and say, you know, Alexa Bliss with her current injury. You know, she's not going to be at Survivor Series, right? What was it, her shoulder or something like that? She's not. Then you had Paige, whose career was ended right at the beginning of the year. Can't forget about that one at the hand of Sasha Banks. So she's completely, you know, indefinitely out of the picture. She's went into early retirement. Zelina Vega at the Battle Royal just received a concussion. They just had a concussion from one of these girls. Just had a concussion. That's why Zelina Vega wasn't there last week, because she had a concussion, right, that she sustained during the Battle Royal at Evolution. And now Becky Lynch is unable to compete because Nia Jax gave her a concussion during that show-ending brawl on Raw. So, you can clearly see that the only women's revolution that's going on right now is the number of injuries that they're sustaining. Oh my God, like, how many injuries has there been this year between the guys and the gals? I mean, there's just, you know, Kevin Owens had an injury. I think Bobby Lashley is currently competing with an injury. You know, I think Jeff Hardy also had an injury as well. You know, I can't even, like, remember off the top of my head. There's been a lot of injuries. One of the Usos went out with an injury. You know, I could go on all day. I can't even remember. Like, we're just doing this off the top of my head. There was a ton of fucking injuries. The whole Sami Zayn with an injury. I mean, at what point do we say, like, and you've got, like, Wade Keller and Dave Meltzer talking about how the style is a lot safer nowadays. So, let's get this straight. They're not doing chair shots to the head anymore. How come when they were doing chair shots to the head, there was so far fewer concussions than there is now? Now there's more concussions than there ever was. So, you know, how do you account for that? You know, they're just steamrolling ahead. They're still sustaining more injuries than they ever have. And somehow we're supposed to be led to believe that the style is safer. That's what culture tells me in all the videos that they make. Oh, the style is so much safer now. That mean old Attitude Era. People were barely getting injured during the Attitude Era. What was the only injury was like Stone Cold, right? Stone Cold, that was a freak accident with the pile driver. Well, they ended up banning that move eventually. Aside from that, I don't remember, you know, The Undertaker had just a wear and tear injury. That was his hip. You know, that was something, you know, that was going on for a long time. Like, I can only recall just a few. I never remember The Rock, you know, Triple H with his quad. You know, it was all these injuries that were like just athletic injuries. Now it's more concussions. People's careers have been ended. In the past couple of years, there's been a number of careers that have come to a crashing halt. You know, there's even now rumors that Alexa Bliss, I think they might be exaggerated about retirement. I think that they're greatly exaggerated, but I'm just saying, could you imagine if she rounds out this year retiring at an early age? Because what is Alexa Bliss now, 27? Can you imagine Paige and Bliss retiring in the same year? I mean, you know, if you want to look back on, like, the worst years, this is what I was saying during my Raw review, like, and you want to talk about 1995 being one of their worst years, how could you not look at 2018 and say that this is not one of the absolute worst years there ever was? A ton of injuries, shitty fucking pay-per-views, no storylines at all, no progression for any wrestlers. You went through the whole year with Braun Strowman and Elias, undoubtedly your hottest acts, and you made fools out of all of them. And they didn't even have WrestleMania matches. Elias didn't have a WrestleMania match. Braun Strowman, he had a match, but he tag teamed with a referee's son. You know, like, and he didn't even win the title. The world title I'm talking about now. This has just been one fucking disastrous year for them. And they might be making some revenue, but, you know, I think they're losing more than they're actually making at the end of the day. But whatever, I'm not going to get into that talk right now. So, okay. So, Becky Lynch is injured. She can't compete. She's got to choose a replacement. So, she chooses Charlotte. And then she hugs Charlotte at the end. There's your badass for you. Hugging people. Yeah, she's a lot like Stone Cold, isn't she, right? You know, okay, so that might not be Becky's fault. They wrote her to do that, but I mean, come on. If you're trying to make this character a badass, she's going to NXT Performance Center and she's beating up, you know, on Charlotte and all this, and she's supposed to be like this badass character. You just had her hug. Then you have the Iconics clap. Everyone's happy. I mean, like, what? And, you know, I'm seeing Lana out there. What happened to the whole Rusev and Aiden English thing? Like, does anybody, like, do they even fucking care anymore? From one week to the next. I mean, it's like, it's almost like a different show from one week to the next. Like, it's just whatever they feel like doing. And this, I still cannot believe that they got to deal with Fox. And, I mean, even Fox is unhappy with the way things are going, but they're paying for the brand name. And the funny thing is that I was just informed by a fellow subscriber that actually on Friday nights, they've got Last Man Standing, which is doing great numbers. So it's like, why would they want to take this piece of shit show and put it on Fridays? When they're already having success. This is not a successful show. They're not doing well. The ratings are very low. And you're looking the way how the show progresses. I mean, don't the execs of Fox look at this and say, this show fucking sucks? I mean, they've had a lot of successful shows in the past. I mean, we're talking about the network that's responsible for putting on The Simpsons, for, you know, like, and Family Guy. Like, they know when a show is successful. They know when a show is getting high ratings and what sells. So, I don't know. It's very perplexing, to say the least. So, you know, they're hugging. So, you know, they were battling it out for months on end, and now all of a sudden they're hugging again. Becky Lynch is injured. God knows what her future is going to be. I mean, like, guys, like, you know, how many serious injuries before we assess, like, at what cost? You know, they're exposing these women more. But at what cost? I mean, they're all injuring each other. We started off the year with a girl 23, 24 years old. Her career already ended prematurely. And you know, if they're not looking at this concussion of Becky Lynch right after, just only 2 weeks after Zelina Vega got a concussion, if they're not looking at this and saying that they, at this point, that they need to, I mean, like, I don't know, like, something has to happen here. Some type of sports commissioner, something needs to step in and say, like, you know, this is unsafe. Like, these people are getting injured. And the thing is, it's not even sports. It's fake. It's just entertainment. It's a TV show. This isn't the UFC. This isn't football. I mean, my God. So they've got to, you know, take responsibility at some point here. Today's workers, this current crop, not only, you know, does this current roster not getting it done, but they're injuring each other. They're unsafe. You know, forget about it not being entertaining anymore. But now, like, just everyone's getting injured. So it's like, at what cost? No one's caring about this show. No one's watching it. And everyone's getting injured. People's careers are being ended. Their livelihoods taken away from them. And no one gives a fuck. I mean, that is just sad. That is a sad state of affairs. The Big Show and the Bar defeated New Day. Okay. You know, so, you know, the Bar is going to be facing the Authors of Pain. If, you know, if anyone's looking forward to that or anything, I got nothing to say here. Moving on, the Usos are backstage, and, like, I don't understand. So they're showing all these tag teams, they're, like, down in the basement or something. Sanity is there. You know, the Colognes are there. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, they're down, like, they're just hanging around down in the basement. So where have these guys been the past few months? I know we saw Sanity, like, last week. You know, they showed up when Nikki Cross came. You know, so yeah, and I was right about that. It was a one-off for the UK, just like they did with you know, the Bruiserweight guy. You know, when he faced Enzo on the UK Raw. You know, just like a one-off thing, and now she's back in NXT, I guess. So they just remembered that, you know, that these teams existed. So after seeing the New Day versus the Bar 1,000 times and Usos versus the, you know, the New Day, now we're seeing the tag teams again. The other tag teams, they suddenly reappeared. And so I don't even understand, like, it's a 10-man tag. So wait a minute. So you got both Usos, right? So those are two people. So it's 10. So that means that there's going to be, right, with this 10 people on each side. That, I guess that's what it means. I don't really know. No, it would be like 5 people on each side, right? So is there going to be a member of each team? And the New Day is there. So I don't even know how this match works. I would guess, yeah, like, what, 10-man tag? That's 5 on each side, actually. So it's like, so they're going to have the Usos and just one Uso, one Sandy member. I don't know. This match sounds very disinteresting to me. It sounds like it's going to be a fucking mess. And then we end the show with Daniel Bryan defeating AJ Styles for the WWE title. Thank God for that. I mean, thank God that the title run is done. And I'm seeing a lot of people freaking out. Oh, we were robbed of Styles versus Brock too. Do you guys even care? I'm not even saying that match was bad last year. It was actually pretty decent. But now people are making like, oh, Bryan's going to get killed against Brock. Like it would be any more believable to have Styles versus Brock. And they actually wrestled that match in a believable way. And the thing is, believe it or not, I think that Bryan versus Brock is a little bit more believable because Bryan has trained in MMA. AJ Styles has not. So it actually makes a bit more sense that the submission wrestle will last a little bit longer. So, I mean, I think at the end, it's basically going to be Brock defeating Bryan. I think it's almost 100% at this point. I'll be very surprised if they go the other way. But they're going to have Daniel Bryan lose to Brock right after winning the title. I mean, like I said, there's no such thing as momentum anymore, I guess. So, I'll say, I actually am looking forward to seeing that match. I do want to see how it plays out. I'm curious to see if they book it in a believable way like they did last year with AJ versus Brock. But aside from that, I mean, this pay-per-view, man, like, I don't know. Also, the interesting thing is that Daniel Bryan turned heel. He low-blowed AJ. Good facial expressions from Daniel Bryan at the end. But, I mean, like, the backlash is just hilarious. So many people are complaining. And it's really funny because when Bryan came into this company, you know, I see a lot of people don't like Bryan. They call him an indie darling. But I've talked about this on a number of occasions. I have noticed that, like, since Bryan got back, like, I don't know what it is. These internet fans, like, they go gaga over Sami Zayn, Nakamurphy, Seth Rollins and everything. But when it comes to Daniel Bryan, it's like he's held to a different standard. Like, they don't like him anymore for some reason. Like, people were, like, fucking pissed about this. And it's like, okay, so no one says anything when Finn Balor beats Lashley. Or when he beat Roman Reigns, for example. But everybody, you know, everyone's fine with that. But when Daniel Bryan wins the title and is going to face Brock, like, everybody has a problem with that. And everybody wanted Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. You want to talk about an unbelievable match that just looks not only fucking stupid on paper and would look even dumber in the ring. Look no further than Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. But by all means, Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar, that's completely foolish. Like, no way we could have that match. So, you know, bring on Finn Balor with his, you know, his rainbow t-shirt against Brock Lesnar. That's and smiling Balor. Hey, you know, I don't think I stressed it enough. Like, did you guys see, like, Balor's smile? I know this is not a Raw review, but I just gotta cut this in here. I'm just saying, like, it really is, like, there was a large portion of people that wanted to see Balor versus Brock. And I'm looking at him backstage, the big smile on his face when Drew McIntyre wanted to tear his head off. Like, what is he smiling about? Does anybody, like, ask that? What is the deal with the smiling? Like the Ronda Rousey smile. But this week is, like, been fucking ridiculous for wrestling fans. I mean, I'm getting, like, a little bit, like, scared for these people. Like, after Ronda Rousey's promo, and, you know, I'm not saying, like, this was an amazing promo. Like, people were saying to me, like, oh, well, this promo wasn't that great. It wasn't really that, but the promo became good once all the SJWs started freaking the fuck out and bashing Rousey and everything. And it's so funny. It's because, you know, everybody was tearing into Rousey from the beginning. And I have noticed something. The truly good wrestlers are the ones that the smarks dislike. And I'll prove it to you right here. I'll prove it to you. What's a good example? Enzo, totally disliked, totally hated by the smarts. When this guy left, 205 Live was no longer on Raw. Almost anything, it became a distant memory, right? You know, basically when Neville and Enzo left, like, the division, the cruiserweight thing couldn't even stand up on its own legs anymore. That shit got pushed back onto the network. It's almost non-existent now. Besides showing it in Australia, that was the first time in a year we had seen anything from 205 Live. You know, maybe give or take a few months there, 10 months or so, like that. And then you had, you know, who was another one that they totally, like, turned to get? Oh, Jinder Mahal last year. So this guy's getting probably the most heel heat that I've seen from a heel wrestler in a long time. You know, they shadow all over him as well. And, you know, And now Ronda Rousey. I bashed Ronda Rousey. I bashed Ruby Riott. But then I actually came back and said that those two wrestlers are actually good. Ronda Rousey proved herself in the ring. She sells, and she sells better than almost the whole entire roster. And I said when Rousey actually really does stop the smiling and all that goofball bullshit that Vince is telling her to do, she's a really promising talent. And Ruby Riott, once they gave her a makeover and everything, and she had a few more months to really adjust to the main roster, I started to actually really like her too. And she's got a good look. Now, I think that she shouldn't be, doing the same old shit like the fake out promos. But like I said, I give people a chance. And as you've seen on this channel, like with Roman Reigns and everything, my opinions change. I don't go along with popular opinion. That's why some people sometimes hate on me and everything. But for the most part, I think people see me as pretty reasonable. I see a lot of the haters have probably unsubscribed and they've gone far away. I really don't see that many negative comments on my videos anymore, and I'm very happy with that. That we're pretty troll-free now, and that we mostly just have a nice little community here on this channel. We're pretty like-minded. I'm not saying that you can't oppose me. By all means, if you have a problem with anything I have to say, thumbs down the video and tell me why. I'm always open to discussion. We're always pretty, we're not barbaric here on this channel. It's okay if you want to debate it, but I'm just saying, it's like I've noticed with a lot of the smarks, like the ones that they hate are probably the most promising talents, the ones that have the ability to be a draw. They're just probably being utilized in the wrong way. And the thing is, it's like with Daniel Bryan, this guy was beloved. This guy was a Ring of Honor champion for many years. Like I said, when I first started watching Ring of Honor, and started going to the shows in 2005, Daniel Bryan was the one who I was taken with the most. I saw him tag teaming with CM Punk in what was CM Punk's last match with Ring of Honor, and I was very impressed by the guy. I said, this guy has a lot of talent. He didn't look like much at the time. He was very pale. He was very thin. He didn't have half the muscular definition, and he still doesn't. Daniel Bryan's, his physique is nowhere where it was. Take a look at him now versus how he looked at, say, around, WrestleMania 30. He's lost a lot of muscular definition. He's not looking as good, but the thing is, anyway, Daniel Bryan is a great talent. He's a great wrestler, and when he wrestles, it looks believable. He does a good job, selling and everything. But for some reason now, AJ lost and everybody's fucking losing their minds. So first it was the SJW promo, the anti-SJW promo, and now it's the Daniel Bryan title win. And guys, the AJ Styles title reign has been one of the most boring fucking pieces of business that's currently going on in WWE. It has been one of the most worthless title runs I've ever fucking seen. So, usually, whoever wins the Royal Rumble, that should be like the main event. That person should be in the main event of WrestleMania. No questions fucking asked. Now, I know you could use the example like Alberto Del Rio winning the Royal Rumble. He actually was in the opening match of WrestleMania 27 with Edge. The WrestleMania where Edge would retire. Like about a week after it. So, it's been done before, but I'm saying, Nakamura wins the Royal Rumble. AJ Styles and Nakamura is the most hyped up match, and it's like in the middle of the card. Prior to that, all he was doing was wrestling Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on repeat, basically. He was shoehorned in this champion because the Smarks complained about Jinder. Oh, this is too old school. He's getting too much heat. They complained about him being a bad champion. And so, guys, honestly, this AJ Styles title run, those matches against Samoa Joe, it has been downright torturous. This title reign has been so boring. And I'm not saying it's AJ's fault, but my God, like, if you guys enjoyed this, like, fucking, oh my, what, like, how? How are you enjoying this? This title reign has been fucking atrocious in every way. So, you know, at least maybe having a heel Daniel Bryan, and I kind of like the evil smile he was giving it, at least it's a little something different. If we're going to watch these shows and we're going to review them, at least, oh my God, there's some fucking mercy that they took the title off of him. And I just hope that we don't see AJ versus Daniel Bryan until the end of time. Because, I mean, after seeing the way this match came about, don't say my name ever again. I mean, I feel so bad for Bryan that he even had to speak that line, that they have to even go through that fucking script. Because that's laughable. I mean, we're talking about a company that's had some of the most stimulating storylines in all of television history. And the fact that you fast forward to 2018, and this is what we're dealing with right now, this company's a fucking joke. And not only that, it's like you gotta love that Daniel Bryan has been back since WrestleMania. He's been back. He's been wrestling since April. And they've done fucking nothing with the guy. Absolutely nothing. They've even wrote it into promos where they've had The Miz say that you've done nothing. We all waited for that feud against The Miz. We thought it was going to be great. It was going to be one of the best storylines. It was a dud. Terrible fucking feud. Horrible feud. You know, nothing, uneventful feud. There was so much tension. You go back and you watch that episode of Talking Smack where they were shooting on each other. It was fucking great. But, you know, man, like, talk about a horrible... Once they were able to do the follow-up, once Bryan, you know, got cleared. And now it's like, it's the show right before the Survivor Series, and they just shoehorn him in and like, so now AJ's out. So I don't know. Did they put AJ on the Survivor Series team? I guess so. They didn't talk about that. I guess that's what the case is. Wow. What a fucking mess. I mean, I'm happy that he's the champion. You guys all know that he's one of my favorite talents on the current roster. So I am happy to see Bryan be champion, but it's like, at what cost? I mean, it really is. They have such a fucking habit of making things seem so uneventful. I mean, Jesus fucking, like, who was it? I'm going to give credit because I don't want to just say a YouTuber like I normally do. What was this guy's name? Because I want to give him credit for saying this. Bear with me here for a moment. I'm pulling up Instagram. Because I was pretty happy. I put up a post of it on, let's see here. Oh, it was, sorry, I don't really know how to say your name because it's so long. H. Longoriga. I don't know. But anyway, you have the HL3 in your, oh, so what was it? H. Longoria the third? Sorry, totally butchering that one. But you said that WWE just has a way of making things uneventful. So that's who said that. And I completely fucking agree with you. Like, that should have been monumental. That should have happened right away. That right there, that should have been at WrestleMania, AJ versus Daniel Bryan. They should have just booked it. Should have just had, you know, Bryan come back, whatever, qualify, beat Nakamurphy, you know, pin him to win the right for WrestleMania, whatever the hell they had to fucking do. Put him in the match against AJ. Have him go over. The guy triumphed. He returned from a brutal concussion and neck injury, and he's back as champion. But they waited all the way to November to do it. And they did it the very, very last minute, right before Survivor Series. Good job. Good job. And, you know, just so he could probably get beat by Brock on Sunday. So good. Such a great fucking product, right? Anyway, guys, hope you all enjoyed this SmackDown review. Please leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you have a problem with anything I had to say, hit a thumbs down. Tell me why. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. Check out some of the other content I have posted here. And thank you for watching, guys. This has been your YWC champ, and I'm signing out.